how the Vikings reached America 500 years before Columbus. Imagine standing on the deck of a Viking ship around the year 1000. For days, perhaps weeks, all you have seen is water, grey skies, cold winds, endless waves. No maps show where you are going. No compass points the way. Beyond the horizon lies only uncertainty. Then one morning, someone spots land. At first it appears as a dark line in the distance. Then forests emerge, hills, rivers, an entire coastline unlike anything you have ever seen. In that moment, you are looking at a continent unknown to Europe. 5 centuries before Christopher Columbus, the leader of the expedition is Leif Erikson, and his story begins long before the discovery of Vinland. Leif was born around 970, most likely in Iceland, but his family would soon become famous across the Viking world. His father was Erik the Red, a man remembered as both an explorer and an outlaw. After being exiled from Iceland following a series of violent disputes, Erik sailed west into the unknown. There he discovered Greenland. The name itself was probably a piece of marketing. Greenland was not especially green, but Erik understood human nature. People follow opportunity more willingly than hardship. The name helped attract settlers, and before long, small Norse communities appeared along Greenland's rugged coastline. This was the world in which Leif grew up. Life on Greenland was difficult. Wood was scarce. Food could be unpredictable. Winters were brutal. The ocean connected the settlement to the outside world, but it could also isolate it for months at a time. To survive on the frontier required courage, but it also required curiosity. The Vikings are often remembered as raiders, yet many were also explorers. Their longships carried them farther than almost any people of their age. They reached Iceland, Greenland, the rivers of Eastern Europe, the Mediterranean, and eventually North America. According to the Icelandic sagas, the first Norseman to see North America was probably not Leif Erikson. It was a merchant named Bjarni Herjolfsson. Around the year 986, Bjarni was sailing to Greenland when storms pushed his ship far off course. When the weather cleared, he saw unfamiliar land to the west. Forested, unknown, mysterious, but Bjarni never went ashore. His goal was Greenland, not exploration. Eventually he reached his destination and told others what he had seen. Most people listened to the story and moved on. Leif Erikson did not. He became fascinated. If Bjarni had truly seen land west of Greenland, what was it? An island? Several islands? A new continent? No one knew. Leif purchased Bjarni's ship, gathered a crew, and decided to investigate. It was one of the most important decisions in exploration history. Imagine the uncertainty facing those sailors. Today, we know North America exists. Leif's crew did not. They were sailing into a blank space. Beyond Greenland lay only rumor. Every day at sea brought new risks. Storms, icebergs, navigation errors, the possibility of simply disappearing. Yet they continued west. Eventually they reached land. The sagas describe several regions. One was rocky and barren. Another was forested. For Greenlanders, forests represented incredible wealth. Timber was one of the most valuable resources in the North Atlantic world. Ships required wood. Homes required wood. Tools required wood. Greenland had very little of it. The lands Leif discovered appeared rich in resources. Then came the place that would become famous, Vinland. But where exactly was Vinland? For centuries, historians debated the question. Some believed it was mythical. Others believed it was somewhere along the coast of North America. Then, in the 1960s, archaeologists made an extraordinary discovery. At L'Anse aux Meadows in Newfoundland, Canada, they uncovered the remains of a Norse settlement. The evidence was unmistakable. Norse-style buildings, ironworking, artifacts linked to Greenlandic settlers. For the first time, archaeology confirmed what the sagas had claimed. Vikings had reached North America. The discovery transformed the debate. Today, Most historians agree that Meadows was a Norse site established around the year 1000. But an important mystery remains. Was it Vinland, or merely a base used to explore farther south? Many scholars believe the latter. The sagas describe wild grapes and milder climates than those found in Newfoundland. Some researchers suggest that the true Vinland may have been farther south, perhaps in the Gulf of St. Lawrence region. Others point toward New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, or even areas farther down the Atlantic coast. The truth is that nobody knows for certain, and perhaps that uncertainty makes the story even more fascinating. Leif Erikson may not have simply discovered a small corner of North America. He may have explored a much larger world than we can currently prove. For a brief moment, Europe and North America were connected. The Norse built structures, gathered timber, explored unfamiliar coastlines, and attempted to establish a foothold. Yet despite this extraordinary achievement, the Viking presence did not last. The distances were enormous. Greenland itself remained vulnerable, and relations with indigenous peoples became increasingly difficult. The Norse called them skraelings. Encounters sometimes involved trade. At other times, violence. Maintaining a distant settlement became increasingly difficult. Eventually, the Norse withdrew. The settlements disappeared. The voyages became stories, and over time, much of Europe forgot. Then, nearly 500 years later, another explorer crossed the Atlantic, Christopher Columbus. And this is where many people become confused. If Leif Erikson reached North America first, why is Columbus usually remembered as the discoverer of America? The answer is surprisingly simple. History does not always remember who arrives first. History remembers who changes the world. When Leif returned home, very little changed. No great migration followed. No empire emerged. No permanent connection developed between Europe and North America. The discovery remained largely confined to the Norse world. When Columbus returned to Spain in 1493, the opposite happened. More expeditions followed. Trade expanded. Colonies were established. Empires grew. Within decades, the map of the world had been transformed. Leif Erikson discovered North America. Columbus connected North America and Europe in a way that permanently changed history. Those are not the same achievement. Both were extraordinary, but they were different. And perhaps that is the most important lesson of Leif Erikson's story. Discovery alone is not enough. The world is full of people who arrive first. The people remembered most clearly are often those who build something lasting from what they find. Leif Erikson sailed into the unknown and reached a continent no European had ever documented. That achievement alone secured his place in history. But his story reminds us that success is not only about finding new horizons, it is about what happens after you reach them.